Welcome. This lesson is about familiarity and trust, which are two of the essential ingredients in a typical case of embezzlement. During this stage of our typical case, the employee has worked in the practice long enough to have acquired an intimate understanding of how things work and has gained the dentist's trust.
Hey, welcome back. In our typical case, we hired a first-time offender, someone who didn't intend to steal when we gave them the job. Now, they've been working in our practice for a while and most likely haven't even thought about stealing from the dentist. Over time, our employee continues to gain experience and takes on more responsibility. Through this experience, our employee acquires an intimate understanding of how things work in the practice. She becomes keenly aware of what the dentist looks at on a regular basis, and more importantly, what the dentist does not look at. As our employee is becoming more familiar with the practice, she continues to gain the trust with her employer. In many practices, employees are friends of the dentist, and in some cases, they're considered like a family member. It's this familiarity that gives our future embezzler the knowledge and competency to steal from the practice and it go unnoticed. And it is the trust that has been bestowed on our future embezzler that allows her to perform financial duties with very little oversight or questioning. Our future embezzler is now fully equipped to exploit any opportunities, but she hasn't crossed that line yet. As time passes, something will happen to our employee's circumstance, and she will begin to feel intense pressure. Our future embezzler is motivated by powerful underlying financial and psychological pressures. Financial pressures are common in embezzlement cases: debt, divorce, compulsive spending, just to name a few. And psychological pressures, predominantly anxiety, will exacerbate things even further. Now, it's important to understand that these pressures are as idiosyncratic as the individual. Everyone has their own honesty threshold, and given sufficient pressure, they're going to cross that threshold and they're going to start making poor choices. Here are some examples of common financial pressures: medical bills, uncontrolled debt, drug addiction, particularly opiates, gambling, which is very common, divorce, a second loss of income, which means increased expense, compulsive shopping. But since most dental embezzlers are female, there is another psychological dynamic that we have to consider. Now, a significant number of women who embezzle are motivated by higher loyalties, and this relates to their desire to meet the various needs or demands of their families. For example, they may have a son or a relative who is in constant trouble with the law and has high legal expenses, or it could be a relative with addiction issues. Often it may be pressure from a male partner in order to preserve that relationship. Now, in our typical case, we know that our future embezzler is under intense pressure. So next, our future embezzler must have an opportunity to steal and it go unnoticed. And because our future embezzler pretty much runs the show in the office, and they're so familiar with the practice, they have plenty of opportunities to do so. And lastly, our future embezzler must rationalize the theft. Bluntly, look, it's very easy for an employee to rationalize that it's okay to steal from a rich dentist. When these three factors are in place, there is very little standing in the way between your money and the embezzler's wallet. So what can practice owners do? This is the #1 and most powerful fraud deterrent ever. It's called the perception of detection. In my other course, I expand on this concept, and you can learn more about it by going to dentalfraudbusters.com. Now, in a nutshell, every employee that steals will ask themselves the same question: am I going to get caught? And if the employee believes that they will be caught, then they will not steal. That's the perception of detection, and it really works. However, in our typical case, the employee has already rationalized that they will not be caught, and that's when they decide to put their hand in the cookie jar for the very first time.